but essentially a hack is any trick or shortcut or skill or novelty method that increases your productivity and your efficiency. So I tried to point out some of those things that you may not have realized, maybe some of those things that'll blow your mind a little bit, some of those huge time savers. And so we will go over those today. So I'm going to start on the Lexis Plus platform. And I think one of the larger hacks is to get organized with your research from the start. So instead of doing your research and then figuring out where am I going to put all this? Am I going to print it and put it in a physical place? Am I going to put it into a folder on the system? Just sit down at the get, look at what you're researching. So you have some sort of outline based on your writing, if it's, a memo or a brief, and create folders that mirror that writing structure or that outline structure or that paper structure. And so in order to do that, you can actually go into the folders at the beginning and create those folders. And you can also create subfolders. So here I've already created a folder over here on the upper left. You just do this create new folder to create a folder. I've created a trial brief folder, and let's say under that trial brief folder, I'm going to have multiple issues that I'm going to be researching. Be really helpful if I could dump that research for those applicable issues into their folder. So when I went back, I already knew why I pulled them. I didn't have to waste any time. So here you can see I've created 2 subfolders within trial brief. So one for knock and announce, one for search and seizure. And you can create those subfolders. Just go into the larger folder. And again, click the create new folder button, and this will create a subfolder. I don't have a third issue that comes to mind, but you can create that subfolder within your larger folder. So then when you're doing your research, you just dump it into one of those subfolders. You can also write notes to yourself related to any of these different folders. So up here at the top, you can see add a note, and you can say, trial brief 3 issues, and then name them out. Whatever, as you're coming across it, you can write little notes to yourself, and then those notes will persist and kind of give you a heads up of or a reminder about what you're researching. So just a great overall organizational hack is, I think, to create those folders at the start and then create them based on your writing or your research structure. Another kind of the hack of all hacks is going to be your Boolean commands and connectors. So next week, I have a whole training session on just the different Boolean commands and connectors. But if you're kind of at the entry level and you're still getting to know those, getting to be comfortable with those, don't forget that underneath the search box is this link to advanced search, which will take you to just some of the top commands and connectors over here on the right. So a hack of a hack is, don't forget about this cheat sheet for using those terms and connectors. Now, if you're just getting started, again, you're starting to feel comfortable, you want to start using some of these commands and connectors, but you're not really sure how, you don't know how to put them together with the different terms that you're researching. A hack for that is to always put, at least starting out, a really great solid place to start is to put the law within the same paragraph as a legally significant fact. So let's say I'm researching premises liability of like an artificial body of water. I'm going to put my law, so that's going to be premises liability. And then I'm going to put that within the same paragraph as one of my legally significant facts. So in this case, let's say it's water. So that premises within the same paragraph as water, that law within the same paragraph of a legally significant fact is, again, a really great place to start using those commands and connectors. And this will usually get you back fairly good on point results. So again, a hack for just starting out, law within the same paragraph as a legally significant fact. Another hack, when we're going through these results, saying you're finding results that mention artificial body of water, but they don't mention it enough times to be relevant for you. So maybe they're referencing a case that mentions artificial, but the cases themselves in this results that don't give you a really good discussion of it. You can use the at least command. So you can do that, search within results over on the left, and I can say, I want to see the term artificial at least however many times I decide. I found that 5 is a really good, again, solid starting out point. So I can do at least 5, and then in parentheses, I put whatever word I want to find at least that many times. So in this case, it's going to be artificial. And that's a great hack for immediately narrowing in on those specific cases or results that are on point for you. Now, another hack is, say you're in the middle of your research, you get interrupted, you don't have time to go through the results, but you're really feeling good about this set that you've created for yourself. How do you quickly get back there? You could go back through history, but you can also add this whole search to a folder. So if you've done all of the foldering and created that organizational structure from the start, you can add your searches to those folders as well, and then come back to them later. So this little 3-dot hamburger right here, if you open that up, it's going to say add search to folder, and then you can select your applicable folder. I don't think I have one here because under brief research, we've got search and seizure, but you could put this in a subfolder, go ahead and save that, go back then to that subfolder when you're ready to pick up on your research. It's going to be a link to these results, and you're right back where you started, and you don't have to remember, what did I do? How did I get there? What issue was I researching? You can just add, again, all of that into your folder. Now, another great hack on Lexis is a whole module, but I'm going to be a little bit more specific on that. So all of this we were doing today was on this legal research module, which is the top one over on our experience doc. The second one down is practical guidance. If you're not familiar with this yet, this is where you go for practice notes, for blank form templates, for checklists. It's like having a supervising attorney sitting on your shoulder, walking you through a task from start to finish. So it can be really great for those clinic classes or work or transactional drafting classes. But another great hack, kind of again within a hack, if we look to the right of practical guidance, first of all, we have these really fantastic practice videos that will walk you through kind of different steps. So check those out if you're, especially if you're a visual learner, you like to listen to somebody speak and teach you things. They're short, they're succinct, and they're really practically on point. But we also have these resource kits. So if you go into those resource kits, it's like a nice little package. I visualize it as like a box with a bow on top of everything you need to complete a transaction. So that's going to be the practice notes. So with the practical guidance, walking you through it, but it's also going to include the forms, the checklists, the clauses, everything possible. So when we're in here, these resource kits, we have over 500. We could search for something specifically if we wanted to. We can also narrow down by practice area. So I know that an employment agreement is kind of a common transactional drafting class task that you're asked to do. So let's say we were doing that, we could narrow down on labor and employment. So now we have all the labor and employment practice resource kits. We could narrow down further. So say, just show me those related to employment contracts. And then now when we go in here, let's say, oh, yep, that's exactly what I wanted, an executive employment agreement resource kit. You can open that up. And again, instead of just one form or one practice note that would link out to other things, you've got everything tied up in just the most beautiful bow for you, where you have all of the relevant practice notes talking you through everything you could possibly think of with related to employment agreements, including checklists, including those blank form boilerplate language templates that you can just take and put in your own client specific content. So be sure and check out those resource kits. Another really great hack then to these resource kits is we've just added a ton that are specific to first-year associates. You don't need to be a first-year associate to use them though, and you can pull them up by just searching for first year anywhere in the practical guidance, and then you'll see they'll pull back. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Go back. I didn't want to search in statutes and legislation. It was supposed to pull back. Try it again. All of the first year associate, there we go, resource kits. And so these are geared towards new attorneys, but again, you don't have to be an attorney. It could be anyone new to this practice area. So say you're finding yourself this summer in a tax firm, you could go in here and it's going to talk you through all of it. Says right here up at the top, any of the practice area related tasks you will typically work on as a new associate. And then you can go down here and it's got everything related to assignments typically assigned to first year associates working on these tax matters. And then you've got all of the relevant tax practice notes. Scroll down a little bit further, you'll have some clauses, some forms, some checklists, but those, again, just search first year. And then we have a variety of them based on different practice areas for tax, for finance, investment management. I know we've got an IP one in here, commercial transactions, you name it. And we've got a resource kit geared towards, again, those brand new attorneys in the field, but they would be highly applicable to you as well. Another hack I wanted to show you, my last couple of minutes, let's say that you have a bunch of citations that you either want to pull all at once, or you're preparing for your nightly reading and you want to pull all of the case summaries, or maybe you're doing some cite and source work for law review and you have to pull a whole bunch of law review articles at once. Instead of typing each one of those into the citation box, you can utilize under tools, get and print. It's a little bit of a misnomer because you don't necessarily have to print. You could get and download or email multiple citations. So it lets you put into up to 100 citations into this box. You could copy and paste, you could type them all out. And then again, you could print to the Lexis printers, you could download. And then I talked about those case summaries under content specific options. You can deliver just the case summary. So if you just wanted it for your nightly reading, you go in the night before, you put in all of your citations for your reading, you deliver the case summary only, whether you print that or whether you download it to your computer. And then it's just going to give you those 3-paragraph case summary briefs of the case so that you're better prepared for class or for putting in your outline. Final hack then is going to be brief analysis. So I know some of you have seen this already, but there are also some enhancements that I wanted to point out. So brief analysis, you have not seen it yet, is again over on the experience doc. It's the second from the bottom, and it's a brief and an AI brief analyzer tool. So what you can do is you can upload any writing product. So it doesn't need to be a brief. It just has to have some citations and some kind of the gist of some legal concepts on there, because it's going to give it something to grab its teeth onto. But then you just upload your document. So you could upload a single brief, or you could upload and compare multiple briefs, and it's going to give you some research suggestions. So go ahead and we'll do that. I'll go ahead and I'll start by uploading a writing product, and it uploads the document. It, like I said, analyzes the citations that you've cited to in the document. It looks at some of those key legal concepts. It does not save your document. It just gets that data out of it. And then it makes some suggestions for you. So what you're seeing over on the left are some key selected concepts that it pulled out of the document that I uploaded. But then what I also see in the middle is it gave me 32 case recommendations. So those are 32 cases that I did not cite to in my document that it thinks might be on point for me. So a couple of enhancements that I wanted to show you, if you have already seen this before, is you now have the ability to focus in on specific selected concepts. So let's say you are almost done with your brief or your memo, but you're really struggling with the research for just one aspect of it. You can change the focus of this report over on selected concepts. You can deselect or select additional concepts that you want the platform to focus on and give you recommendations specifically for that. Another enhancement is now, in addition to case recommendations, it's also going to recommend some of that practical guidance material if it's applicable, and then also treatises or secondary sources. So again, you just click go to case recommendations. What I'm looking at here that's highlighted in blue, that's the brief that I uploaded. And so it's telling me that for this blue highlighted portion of the brief that I uploaded, it's giving me additional recommendations for research. So I just click over on the right to open that up, and I have 10 additional cases that it recommended. This was a criminal brief that I uploaded, so I don't get any practical guidance recommendations, but I do also get 10 treatises. So 10 sections of a secondary source that could help me better understand what I'm writing about. So again, don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking that it has to be a brief. It could be an outline. It could be your rough draft. It could be something you received from opposing counsel. It could be an assignment that you received from class, just something to get it on the system, to just kind of jumpstart that research, to highlight those key concepts, to jump off with the cases and the secondary sources. And then what you can do with these recommendations over on the right is you can actually deliver this list. So you could print it, or you could download it, or you could email it, and it's going to print out these links to these sources with these key paragraphs over here. And then you could just jump to the next section where it made a recommendation and just kind of go down and review all of those that way. But it's a fantastic tool, and I'm excited to hear all the different creative ways that you guys are using it.